Welcome to ABC7's live coverage of a pursuit, a fairly erratic pursuit of this white small passenger bus. We understand this is a children's hospital bus, originally out of the Hollywood area. LAPD Hollywood Division started this pursuit because this bus was stolen, possibly from Children's Hospital. We do believe that all occupants of the bus were able to get out of the bus before the driver took off with the bus, and since then we've seen some very erratic driving across the North Hollywood area. The driver has been driving around Burbank, driving around surface streets in North Hollywood. We saw some erratic driving on the 170 and the 134, and now we're using the middle of lanes here on Colfax Avenue through North Hollywood. And this is a very narrow stretch of North Hollywood and a very residential area. Not a lot of traffic up ahead, but oh my gosh, you could see traffic just kind of pulling off to either side because they're hearing those lights and sirens. And this is the type of pursuit that LAPD is not going to want to get off of, because part of the safety measures, as we see this driver going using the center median there to get around traffic, part of what's actually helpful is other drivers seeing those lights and hearing those sirens, and that helps to let them know to get out of the way, although you see some people not really hearing what's around them and being a little slow to get out of the way, because that's the best thing you can do in this situation. Don't try and help, don't try and block, just get out of the way. That's the best thing you can do for police to stay safe. As we continue watching this white passenger van out of Children's Hospital make a sharp right turn, turning westbound now on Burbank Boulevard, getting onto one of the on-ramps here. I believe that's going to be for the northbound 170, using both lanes, not really sticking to one lane, using a little bit of the right shoulder there as well. Just very odd, very erratic driving. You could see there the driver wearing a white or beige top, kind of fidgeting around, maybe a yellow shirt there, fidgeting around now. One hand on the steering wheel. Not really keeping to one lane, swerving onto the main lines of the 170 freeway. He had the option there to get off on, I believe that's Victory, but now we're continuing on the northbound 170. Staying in that slow lane for now, speeding up to 75, almost 80 miles an hour. And now all of a sudden we're seeing the driver hold to one lane, and just as I say that, the driver swerves to an exit. This is going to be the Victory off-ramp, I believe. And there's a few options here. This driver could go east or westbound on Victory. There's some sharp turns. This is one of those very sharp turns, and that bus surprisingly handles it even at those high speeds, above 50 miles an hour. LAPD still staying very close behind this bus. It looks like we're going to end up going westbound on Victory. Those LAPD units staying right there behind them, going under the bridge, continuing out westbound Victory. And now we're getting back onto the freeway. This really appears that this driver has no idea where they're going. They are using various freeways, various on-ramps and off-ramps, and just appears to be out for almost a joyride. Just enjoying his last few minutes of freedom. Now we're back on that southbound 170 freeway. And swerving, on the right side, off the shoulder. Now we're off-roading in this bus that is clearly not supposed to be off-roading off the freeway. I'm not sure if there's a curb there, and the bus hops the curb almost like it's no big deal. Going the wrong way on that off-ramp. There's oncoming traffic. That's a very narrow off-ramp. Cars swerving to avoid this gigantic bus, and these cars have no idea that this bus is coming right towards them. Thankfully, I don't think the bus made impact with many of those vehicles, although that was a very close call. We're going the wrong way on Victory Boulevard a little bit there. Now we're going the right way. This bus just kind of swerving on all sides of the road, making very erratic maneuvers. It really makes you wonder what state of mind this driver is in, making a sharp right turn onto one of the side roads here that parallels with Victory Boulevard. On the north side of Victory Boulevard. Swerving into some more oncoming traffic there. Looks like that's Bel Air Avenue. Now we're deep into residential Valley Glen. Those LAPD officers are having a hard time of keeping tabs on where this bus is on the ground. The air unit has this bus from the air, but those LAPD units on the ground were stuck on the freeway. Bus hopping the curb there as we go on to Kittredge Street. Now on Teasdale Avenue. Once again, these are narrow residential streets, and we've seen how aggressive and how erratic this bus driver has been driving right now. Hopping another curb there. The bus slowing through the intersection a little bit, probably because of that traffic in front of them. Archwood and Welby, very residential. Late in the afternoon on a summer night, you have to wonder if people will be out in the street just enjoying the evening. And officers now catching up on the ground. Archwood and Whitsett Avenue now. Those officers on the ground want to stay close behind this bus because of the erratic nature and the erratic driving that we've been seeing so far. They want to make sure that everybody around this bus knows that there's something going on, there's something about this bus that needs to be avoided. Van Owen westbound now. You have that one LAPD unit and more even further back trying to catch up. But right now it's just that one LAPD unit behind the bus that's picking up speed, 60 miles an hour down Van Owen, using that middle lane around some traffic there. There's a little bit of traffic up ahead. An intersection with a red light. We'll see what this driver does as we approach that intersection. Slowing down through traffic, and the bus is just going to fly through the intersection. Luckily, there's no cross traffic there. Van Owen and Coldwater. If you're in this part of the valley, do not get out onto the roadways because it's just too dangerous right now. We do not know what this bus driver is capable of with this very erratic and very dangerous driving. Continuing westbound on Van Owen Street through Valley Glen. We're getting a little further from that 170 now, which this driver seemed to favor earlier on in this pursuit before we saw that wild move going off-road. Crossing Van Owen and Fulton. We have some cross traffic coming. That red truck screeches to a stop and seems to avoid any danger there. Now we're going southbound here. Two LAPD units now behind this bus. Still at high rates of speed. This is not a road, Fulton Avenue. This is not a road that you want to be going more than 50 miles an hour down as we fly through this intersection. Victory in Fulton, now eastbound Victory. The speeds that we're seeing through these quiet valley streets is very dangerous and very unusual. It's times like these we wonder what the motive is, what this person's thinking, what their reasoning is for driving like this. Whether it's just trying to get away or just trying to enjoy their last few minutes of freedom. That LAPD unit is one of two units that are right behind this pursuit. Other units are trying their best to catch up, but because of this erratic driving, they are a little bit further behind right now. Sylvan Street westbound, very residential, some cul-de-sacs in this area, so if the driver is not completely familiar with it, we might see this end up in a cul-de-sac. Toll and Sylvan, no cul-de-sacs on this stretch, at least in the near vicinity. If the driver continues, he'll be able to get off on one of the major streets. But it looks like, okay, eastbound on Irwin. Running through that stop sign. Now southbound again. Looks like southbound on Ethel. Oxnard will be the next cross, the next major cross. We have more LAPD units, a number of LAPD units joining the pursuit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units I see now that are catching up with this pursuit. Ethel and Oxnard running that red light, continuing eastbound now. That one driver trying to pull over, he gets over. The bus continues. Something about this driver and curbs. The driver seems to love hugging the curbs. We've seen him hopping multiple curbs. Coming up to Coldwater right now. Squeezing by on that right side, hopping that curb, just like we were just saying. Continuing southbound now on Coldwater. LA Valley College right in the vicinity here, although it doesn't look like there's too many people there at this moment. There is some traffic there at the intersection. That's going to be Coldwater Avenue and Burbank Boulevard. We'll see what the driver does when he gets to that intersection. And we're making a right turn now. Right turn on Burbank Boulevard, heading westbound now, passing LA Valley College. And possibly jumping the median? No, I'm not sure if there was a median there, but definitely making a U-turn. And, oh, might have sideswiped that vehicle there. Now traveling southbound on one of the side streets there and back onto Coldwater Canyon. Continuing southbound on Coldwater Canyon. Coldwater eventually connects with the 101 freeway, if that's something that this bus driver is thinking about doing. Running that red light, flying through Chandler Boulevard. Up next is Magnolia. We'll see what this driver does at that intersection. It looks like they have a green, so this driver will be able to go through that intersection. And we're swerving to the left, almost cutting off some other traffic there and sideswiping some traffic on Magnolia. Now we're going eastbound on Magnolia. Every time you think there's a pattern with this pursuit so far, this driver does something erratic and unusual and makes you second guess. We're flying down Magnolia Boulevard back eventually towards the 170. And just as I say that, we're making a right turn on Whitsett. Southbound on Whitsett now. Whitsett Avenue southbound. There's no entrance to the 101 from Whitsett, but the driver could end up on Riverside Drive, which is a major east-west thoroughfare through the southern part of the San Fernando Valley. We're slowing, luckily, as we enter this intersection. He had a green there, but he almost chooses intentionally to cut off traffic and then make a left turn there. Now eastbound on Riverside Drive. Southbound on Vantage Avenue, another very narrow residential street. Running through the stop signs, making a right turn on Blick Street. These are going to be very narrow streets. Trying to figure out if that's a dead-end street. I don't think it is. I believe this driver will be able to get out, and there it is on St. Clair Avenue. He can get back on Riverside there. And that's apparently what this driver is going to do. Now, westbound Riverside Drive. LAPD staying close behind this one. I think that was a CHP unit as well. CHP has definitely been alerted to this because they don't know if this guy is going to get back on the freeway. He has been on the freeway before, but we've been staying on surface streets for the past few minutes. You see that air unit from LAPD staying right overhead. Continuing westbound on Riverside Drive, passing Whitsett. There's a couple apartment buildings here that are a few stories tall. We'll move Air 7 to get out of the way of those, and we'll be able to see this van continuing westbound on Riverside Drive. Not a lot of traffic on Riverside Drive, almost all the way down to the Sherman Oaks area. It's a very quick thoroughfare for people to get past traffic on the 101. Approaching Coldwater Canyon, and there's a red light. There's cross traffic. We'll see what this bus does as that cross traffic comes. It looks like he's just going to force his way through that intersection, and those other vehicles luckily try to stop, and it looks like we avoid a crash there at what could have been something really nasty. Continuing westbound Riverside Drive, now in Sherman Oaks. Copy. It's sounding like, to my surprise really, that LAPD is deciding to cancel the ground units. They're pulling off this pursuit on the ground, and they're just going to track from the air. Running that red light there, crossing Riverside Drive, or continuing westbound on Riverside Drive. You could really go either way on that decision, to keep police units behind this bus so that the community is aware that there's a bus driving erratically through their area, or you decide to pull the ground units off the pursuit and hope that the driver drives less erratically. And that's the decision that has been made right now, and they're hoping, LAPD is hoping, that that is the right decision. Right now we're watching this vehicle, this bus, once again stolen from Children's Hospital. We believe this is a Children's Hospital bus making a right turn northbound on Woodman Avenue from Riverside Drive. And it does appear that the driver seems to be calming down a little bit and driving a little less erratically. We see him hopping another curb there. That makes me wonder if this is a person that has very little experience driving a vehicle of this size. You see a lot of curbs being hopped, a lot of things being very close to being sideswiped, crossing right in the path of other traffic there. So you have to wonder a couple of things: the mental state of this driver, what their intentions are, and what experience they have driving a large vehicle like this, if any. Judging by what we know about this as we continue northbound on Woodman passing Addison, judging by what we know that this is possibly a stolen bus from Children's Hospital. This is one of those buses that Children's Hospital uses to transport patients and family of patients. Judging by what we know in terms of that, it does make it seem like this is somebody with no connection to the hospital, possibly, and just stole the bus from the hospital and does not have any experience driving a bus like this. That's the impression that I get, just seeing what we've seen so far, the very erratic driving, the lack of an ability to handle a bus like this as we continue northbound on Woodman Avenue, passing Chandler. And we're really seeing LAPD's decision to pull off on the ground work out exactly how they wanted it to. They pulled off the ground units. They were hoping to see a little bit more relaxed driving, and we saw that for a little bit, although now we're using that center median lane again, although it looks like he's actually using that for the purpose that it's there for, making a left turn westbound on Burbank Boulevard, kind of straddling that line between Sherman Oaks and Valley Glen. If we push in on the driver, you can see there he's an individual with a yellow shirt, I believe. We did see earlier he was doing a lot of fidgeting around, reaching in various places of his driver area, and we're seeing that again. Using both lanes there on a part of Burbank Boulevard where you have two lanes in each direction. Continuing through the Hazelton intersection, still on Burbank Boulevard westbound. Now, I think I saw earlier the bus driver using his signal lights, which is something we didn't see earlier. Still westbound Burbank Boulevard, now in the Sherman Oaks area. If we continue further down this way, we'll hit the 405. Now in Van Nuys, this is the Van Nuys Boulevard, Burbank Boulevard intersection, making a right turn there, so now we're going northbound Van Nuys Boulevard. And again, we're hugging that right shoulder, driving in the bike lane instead of the regular lanes of traffic. And I do see one LAPD unit and another LAPD unit a good distance behind the bus, so they're in the area. They know where this guy is, and they're keeping a close eye on him, even from the ground. We're now going southbound on an alleyway from Hatteras, and that LAPD unit is right behind him. We'll see if the behavior of this bus driver changes. No lights and sirens, because we're technically in tracking mode. But of course, considering the size of the vehicle and the danger that it may pose, that LAPD unit is going to keep a close eye on this bus no matter what, even if they're technically in tracking mode. This alleyway does not continue all the way through to a street. He's going to need to make a left turn there. And we're basically in a shopping center parking lot. Still near the intersection of Burbank Boulevard and Van Nuys Boulevard. Now back onto Tilden, driving around some cross traffic there. This is going to be Burbank Boulevard, and we'll see what the driver does back at the Burbank Boulevard, Van Nuys Boulevard intersection. Making a right turn again and hopping the curb again, getting right up close to that other oncoming traffic. And now this LAPD unit has his lights and sirens back on now. I believe the top of that LAPD car says 09, which would be a Van Nuys unit. So it looks like the Van Nuys division of LAPD is now taking this pursuit into their hands. This did start in Hollywood. It was a Hollywood division pursuit. And now Van Nuys Division LAPD officers are taking this back into pursuit mode, continuing northbound on Van Nuys Boulevard. Slowing through the intersection a little bit. Passing Van Nuys City Hall. There's a few major intersections up ahead that I'm curious to see what this driver does as we go through those intersections. I believe that was a green light there, another green light up ahead, Van Nuys Boulevard and Friar Street, and then Van Nuys Boulevard and Victory Boulevard. We've been on Victory Boulevard a lot in this pursuit, but we're just going to cross right through it and keep on going forward. Okay. Van Nuys Boulevard and Kittredge now, making a right turn on Kittredge. And it sounds like now even the Van Nuys Division LAPD officers have been told to stand down from this pursuit on the ground. They will continue to track from the air, continuing eastbound on Kittredge, back in these narrow residential streets. There's quite a few of these across the San Fernando Valley. Northbound Sylmar from Kittredge Avenue. At this point, the bus driver looks lost. It seems like he has no real sense of direction. He's just kind of driving around, hopping curbs as he goes. I think that there has to be a record for most curbs hopped in a pursuit. There's been a lot of them in this one. Oh, I thought that cross traffic was coming up really fast, but it looks like the bus came to a stop just on the other side of that building, thankfully. And now we're going eastbound on Van Owen. Northbound Lenox. I'm really glad that bus came to a stop before crossing Van Owen. But this is what I was worried about here. You have parts of the valley where a lot of people are just out enjoying a summer night, crossing the street, and there may be a lot of pedestrians in this area. And the bus appears to be, he was going to make a left turn on Hart, but decides against it and continues down Lenox Avenue. That was an interesting maneuver there. Unsure why the driver did that. And now a left turn on Vose. There's some traffic there in the way. Are the bus doors open? It looks like the driver's opening and closing the doors. Very close to the curb there, crossing back onto Van Nuys Boulevard, making a northbound turn now. Still hugging that right side shoulder. We're getting past Sherman Way, continuing past Sherman Way, still on Van Nuys Boulevard northbound. Some pedestrians in the sidewalk there. Now, earlier when this pursuit started, the information that we originally had was that Hollywood Division officers from LAPD started this pursuit after apparently they received word that this bus was stolen from Children's Hospital. We have no indication that there are other people on this bus. So we can only hope that there were either, if there were people on the bus earlier, they got off in time, or there were no people on the bus to begin with. This is one of those buses with those tinted windows, so it's hard to see inside from this angle. But we're continuing northbound Van Nuys Boulevard in the Panorama City area now. And we're really seeing a slowdown in the behavior from this driver. There's a bicyclist there. This driver has loved driving in bike lanes, which is very strange. So that was a little interesting. Making a right turn on Armenta. What do you got? Oh, I see. So Armenta, I don't know if it's a dead, yeah, well, that's a dead-end street. And the bus is coming to a stop. The driver, out of the bus, he has got a backpack on, and he's just going to run away. He's going to leave the bus in the middle of Armenta Street in Panorama City. He's walking towards the Home Depot. This is a Home Depot that's open at this time, and walks into the garden center like no big deal. The suspect has left the bus, walked into the Home Depot, and is now walking through the garden center. Rob, push into the garden center there. So he did make the left turn and walk inside the actual store part of the Home Depot. So he's no longer in that garden center. And you can see those LAPD units pulling up right away. I see one LAPD unit so far. Hopefully more are on the way. Those couple of officers walking in the garden center. I've got one eye on the exit to the Home Depot to see if we can see anything happening there. You have the LAPD air unit overhead. They're keeping an eye on all sides of this Home Depot store to make sure nobody tries to run out of the store. But if you've been to a Home Depot, you know how big those stores are. I've been to this particular store, and it's a huge store. There's a lot of places. There's a lot of nooks and crannies to where you can go. They do have, oh, I see one person, that might have just been a child running outside, unrelated. You see one woman kind of pointing back into the store. I wonder if that has something to do. Hopefully LAPD is making contact with the suspect here. But as I was saying, you know, I'm sure everybody knows how big Home Depot stores are. And there's a lot of room for a person to run and hide inside the store. I can't tell if those people in the store are seeing something on the inside or if they're just going about their normal day. It does appear you have the door closed now. It looks like an employee has locked the door. So it does appear that these Home Depot staff are aware of what's going on. The LAPD officers inside have at least made contact with the staff to get them to lock at least that one front door. You have a couple of other staff people walking out this back door. And this will be a little bit of a challenge for LAPD unless they were able to get eyes on the suspect right away. That bus still just parked in the middle of Armenta. You have officers watching the back doors. They are going to form a perimeter around this entire shopping center. You have a Home Depot, an Old Navy, and a Gap. We have a number of other officers running inside as well. I'm hearing from the police scanner traffic that they possibly have the suspect in, they possibly have eyes on the suspect. Are you able to get on the south side? See if we can see the south side of the garden center? The north entrance of the garden center, which you would want to see from the south, right? Yeah, they'll pull them out there too. If you're still watching along on the ABC7 24/7 channel and all of our ABC7 streaming platforms, you've been watching continuing coverage of a wild bus pursuit. One of those small passenger buses apparently possibly stolen from Children's Hospital. The suspect got out of the just parked in the middle of the street, got out of the bus, and walked into this Home Depot through the garden center. We do understand that officers were able to make their way into the garden center, and they have made contact with the suspect. They are taking him into custody right now, and we are waiting to see when they pull this suspect out of the store. You have more LAPD officers making their way to the scene right now. And there you have somebody in custody in handcuffs. Looks like the that person may have shedded their yellow jacket. They were wearing a yellow colored jacket when they ran into the store with a backpack. I don't see the backpack or the yellow colored jacket anymore. But officers believe that this is the person that was driving that bus earlier and is now in custody. A wild pursuit covering a lot of the San Fernando Valley, putting a lot of people in danger, possibly sideswiping a couple of vehicles, a lot of close calls, no major crashes, and it does appear that all ends well here at the Home Depot off of Armenta Street in Panorama City. With Pilot Johnny and Rob on the camera controls, I'm Gabe Santos, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.